Good morning around the Diamond family. I am back. I took a week off. I was at my bachelor party. I was in
Boo!
beautiful,
Boo!
beautiful Denver, Colorado. Unfortunately, I
Boo!
saw my Giants lose, but it was a great time. I'm happy to be back. Thank God. As always, it is it's better for Bill on the West Coast. But as always, Baseball Bill, how are you doing on
We
this
got to
fine
really
Saturday
talk
morning?
about taking this time off here, man. You don't do that during the season. Come on now. We got to round it out.
Um,
We got people listening to this thing.
I
They're going, hey,
planned my
where's Sam at?
wedding after. Look, I planned my wedding after baseball season. I
Hey, look,
couldn't
I don't need excuses.
postpone the bachelor party till after the season. I'd be having my bachelor party after my wedding. It'd be kind of
Listen,
a
I
mute
don't need
point at that point.
excuses. I don't need excuses. You
All
just did that
right,
because you
all
thought that
right.
the Giants were going to make the playoffs, and you know they're not. Oh, did I say that out loud? Anyways, Sammy, I'm
We
doing
will
great
get
this
into
morning.
the. We will get into that in a little bit. Let's jump right into these standings. I'm going to
Yep.
take this American League this week. I'm going to let Bill bask in the glory of the National League. Looking at the AL East, Orioles are still on the dominant tear, but guess what, folks? They still have yet to fully clinch the division. It's crazy. It's crazy. How are they still not division champs? They are going to have a guaranteed spot into the postseason, but they are still riding out this last week and a day to try to raise, though, making it tough. The Twins, Bill and I said at the beginning of the season that the American League Central was going to be one with 85 wins, and we were both wrong. You know why? It was one with 81 wins. So
Crazy.
the Twins have won the Central. They are walking into the postseason with the worst division record leader in all of baseball. Twins 82 and 72. Congratulations, Guardians, Tigers. See you next year. You're out. Kick it. American League West. This is the battle, folks. If you're looking for a great battle to watch, this is the one you want. This American League West is going to come down to the last game of the season. I will guarantee it. There's no question in my mind. It's it's there. Um, yeah, Rangers right now are holding a very, very, very tight leash on these Astros and Mariners with the lead. But just watch this last week of baseball in the American League between these three teams. It's going to be crazy. Bill, what are you seeing?
Uh, I'm seeing something funny. So the Twins win their division, right? And they win their division. Notice if they were in the American League East, they would be in fourth place right above the Yankees. Notice if they were in the American League West, they would be in fourth place right above the Angels. So much to do about nothing. But that doesn't mean that October baseball isn't going to be good to them. Who knows? It's a fresh start. If you are a Ranger fan or an Astro fan or a Mariner fan, you better get a cardiologist on the horn. You are going to go down to the wire. The Mariners and the Rangers play each other six more times out of the last 9 games. In fact, Seattle plays two more with the Rangers, three more with the Astros, and four more with the Rangers. So buckle up, baby. Um, the
The Mariners, this is in your hands, guys.
yeah,
This is literally your division to lose.
yeah. So here's what's funny, Sam. Here's what's funny. Okay, is both teams that are going to get the bye still haven't clinched. The Orioles are going to get a bye, and either the Rangers, Astros, or Mariners are going to get a bye. The Twins are not going to get the bye. They're going to have to go into the wild card round. So the two teams that are going to get the bye, they haven't clinched yet. I love baseball. I love it. I
Got
love
to.
it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I'm so excited for this American League, way more than I am for the National League. But that's just because Mike is playing. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Bill,
Get
what
it.
are you seeing on the National? Oh, looking
Oh,
at this wild
oh,
card
oh,
picture real
whoa,
quick.
wait,
Like
wait,
we
wait.
said,
You start jumping
we
things.
I know I'm looking at the National League, thinking we got something to talk about. Um,
Four
yeah,
teams are
I
left.
mean,
4 teams are left.
yeah, like this is nuts. This is insane. This is
Yeah.
insane.
The
That's all I
the
gotta say.
Yankees.
Rays are locked in. The Rays and the Orioles are all clinched. They're good to go. I mean, there's 9 games left, 8.5 lead. There's no question.
The, the Yankees
Rays
have
are making
not.
it.
The
I
Yankees are
mean,
not
realistically, the
officially out.
Blue Jays could be still knocked out.
Yeah, the Yankees are
I,
officially not
I am
knocked out.
knocking them out. I am knocking them
Go
out.
ahead, knock them out.
But the Blue Jays, I mean, the Blue Jays could still realistically miss the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just pointing that out there. Bill, National
Right.
League, take me through it.
All right, here we go. Braves, 99 wins. They're just gonna hold on to that. They're awesome like that. Phillies are lights out right now. Marlins are kind of, you know, we'll talk about them during the wild card stuff. Brewers have kind of pulled away, not because the Brewers are playing hot, 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 but because the Cubs are playing cold, 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 right? Right now. But that's for another story. And the National League champion of the National League again, National League West is Sammy. Say it for me.
I'm not going to say it.
All right, the Los Angeles Dodgers. All right, so the Dodgers.
You're lucky I've given up. You're lucky I've given up. I'm never going to say it, but you're lucky I've
How about the Padres though, man? These guys just don't
given
go
up.
away, do
Take
they?
that as a win.
So, but yeah, so that's I mean, Sam.
They're battling, but sorry, Bill, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Finish
no,
me
you're
out with the
good.
West.
You're good. There's not a lot to talk about except for in the Central. And to be honest with you, the Central's for the most part locked up. A week and a half ago, I said, hey, the Cubs are going to take it. And then they went 3-7. And you just don't take it going 3-7. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the wild card. But anything specific that you see in the National League, Sam?
Nothing really. I mean, the Brewers tech, but it's funny if you look at they have 1 game left. So if the Brewers win today, mathematically they've locked in the division. So by the end of today, we could have the entire National League division winners chosen.
Mm-hmm.
At least by the end of the weekend, we'll have the National League division leaders chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just a battle for the wild card. And as we talk about wild cards, boom, here
6 teams.
we go. Look at you realize it's still technically anyone's race in this wild card battle here.
Yeah, it's 6 teams separated by 4 teams separated. I'll say 5 teams separated by 4 games. I for the most part, it's going to take a lot for the Phillies to miss the playoffs. But I mean, they're doing exactly what they did last year. They got hot at the right time. They won their last 3. They're 6-4 in their last 10. I mean, the Phillies are doing what they're going to do. Let's see how this all plays itself out. And
Trey
we're going to
finally
have some,
figured out how to head a bat.
yeah, we're going to talk about this topic in a second. But yeah, six teams there. Beautiful.
It's crazy. We're gonna run through some statistics real quick.
Statistics.
Statistics. Luis Arazia is leading all of MLB with the best batting average in baseball, 354. He is crushing it. Been crushing it all year. Has pretty much held this division lead. Has pretty much held the bat at least 10 plus weeks. I don't think I've changed that name in 10 plus weeks. And Matt Olson has just been dominating on the RBI side. He has not stopped. He has shown why his bat is just as strong as it was in Oakland as it is in Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta boy, born and bred, showing him why he came home. Bill, what about pitching? I mean, you're the pitching master, the guru, I like to call you.
Guru, yeah. So Spencer Stash is just rolling. Technically, he has 2 more starts left, so we'll see how that plays itself out. But yeah, it's just so. Here's what's interesting about this list: there are 20 names, or some of them are on here. Or actually, yeah, some of them are on here twice. But there's 20 names, 5 in each category here. There's only 1 name on here who they're technically not eliminated from the playoffs, but odds on favors are not going to make the playoffs, and that's Blake Snell. So out of 20 names on here, there's only one that doesn't represent a playoff team. The Miami Marlins are still in it. Obviously, the Dodgers and the Braves have clinched. Texas is still in it. Tampa Bay is already clinched a playoff spot. Oh, the Mets. I'm sorry, Pete Alonso. That's the other one. The Mets. But you got Houston, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Toronto, Minnesota, Yankees as well. So you got 3 out of 20. And so I think that that's significant because you're playing the batting average is significant. The wins aren't as significant as the strikeouts are. So a lot of talk being said about Blake Snell being the NL Cy Young. I'd give it to Spencer Stash, but
I would too. Real quick, I wanted to ask you something back on the standings page.
yeah,
Is there a possibility the New York Mets end up in dead
yes,
last place?
yes, because the New York Mets, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, out of their last 10 games or so, and I'll pull it up, but I think they have
They're 3-7 in their last 10.
right, but I think they have 6 more games with Philly. And Philly is obviously fighting for that wild card spot. And so yeah, I'm just pulling this up real quick here. Yeah, so they've got 2 more with Philly. Oh, yeah. So they got 2 more with Philly. They got at Philly. They got 3 at home against the Marlins and 3 against Philly to end the season. So they're playing playoff teams all the way through. Is it conceivable? Depends on how the Nationals do.
How crazy would it be to talk about a team that we both said was going to be first in the division at the end of this year could possibly end in dead last?
Yeah, crazy. Crazy talk.
So let's talk about this stolen base count. We have to give praise to Ronald Acuna. I think Ronald Acuna has been, with the way the rules have been put into place, has just been something unprecedented and something that I don't think anyone ever thought would happen. Ronald Acuna is, well, it's happened, but I don't think we thought it happened for a much longer period. Ronald Acuna is the 5th player in baseball history to enter the 40-40 club.
Yep.
It's an amazing feat. It's, again, there's only been 5 players to ever do it. So to be able to accomplish it is something that is truly remarkable. Hats off to you. My hat is off. You deserve it. No question. Looking at the stolen base count, I know I was off last week, but still, we went up 300 stolen bases in 2 weeks. That's crazy. Acuna's still leading the board. Ruiz has been the one shining light for Oakland this year when it's come to something. Corbin Carroll hitting 50 as a rookie. 50 stolen bases as a rookie. And 25 home runs. Let's just, again, something else to take into account. He's one of the to hit 50 stolen bases and 25 home runs in a season as a rookie. So, again, another hat off. Bobby Witt holding 48 and CJ Abramson 43. This isn't as impressive as the next slide, Bill. I'm going to let you bask in this glory. How about that?
Bask away. Home run leaders, 55-79. We'll probably end up hitting about 57 home runs this season. I don't know where that ranks on an MLB list. We'll definitely have to do that. Sam and I will have to do that for you at some point. Matt Olson. Here's your problem, guys. You have 4 players in the National League that could and should be MVPs, but you can only give it to one. So Matt Olson is one of them. I mean, we just talked about Ronald Acuna, but Matt Olson's one of them. He's got 53 home runs. He'll probably finish with 55 home runs and about 140 RBIs. It's really, really hard. If Acuna wasn't doing what he was doing, Matt Olson would be in the running. Freddie Freeman, I mean, hitting 334. He's going to have 60 doubles. He's going to have 100 RBIs. I mean, it's a hard thing to not vote against him. Mookie Betts, same thing. So these are amazing. Pete, I can't find a jersey that fits me correctly. Alonso is still there. Kyle, I only hit home run. Schwarber is on there. Shohei's already cleaned out his locker. And by the way, I'm very glad that he has had that surgery and it's been successful. That's good for him because he'll be able to play in 2024. And Ronald Acuna, 40 home runs. This is insane. These numbers are insane this season. But one of the numbers that you're going to be surprised about is on the home run count. Aaron Arson Judge hit 3 home runs last night, gives him 35 for the season. Do you know, Sam, that if he hits 3 more home runs this season, he will have a grand total of 100 home runs in 2 seasons?
That's insane.
It's
I hope
insane.
he doesn't do it.
It's insane.
I
Well,
hope he doesn't do it.
listen, remember, he was off for about a month after, trying to kill the Dodgers bullpen door. And had he not been out for that month, I mean, he'd be
Oh, he
over
would have been.
40.
He'd already be there.
Yeah, he'd already be there.
No
So it's
question.
insane. So he keeps that pace up and he finishes out that contract with the Yankees with some attrition to go with it. I looked up his numbers, his all-time home runs versus what he's done, and with some attrition, he'll have over 600 home runs in his career. That's an insane number.
That's crazy.
So
That's crazy.
let's get to our topics,
Well,
Sammy.
we're gonna get into the topics. We've got a decent amount of time left to talk about these, so we're gonna go right into it. The good thing is that the first one we don't really have to talk too much about because we talked about it at the beginning of the show. We're gonna talk some wild talk. We're talking wild card talk.
Wow,
Now, first, we're
wow.
going to talk about this American League. Now, we looked at what the rankings were. We know Seattle is only half a game out. Bill, these are the 4 teams competing for the spot.
Yeah. What would I like to see? To be honest with you, I think the Rays have already clinched, so they've already got that top wild card spot. What I'd like to see, and this isn't going to go well with people up north, but I would love to see Seattle and Houston get in it. And then you end up, Toronto would have their cheese left out in the wind, but then you would end up having a very unique scenario where it could end up being either Seattle, Houston, or Texas playing their division rival in a wild card match and in the division match. So I think that would be a lot of fun. But I just don't know.
This one is so tough because you're right. The Rays have clinched. There should be a big old check mark right next to their name. But me, I would like to see Houston out. I don't want to see Houston in it. Season what? I think the last 9 years, 10 years straight. I would really love to see a new team get in and give Houston a year off.
Yeah.
So, I know there's going to be a lot of Houston fans that are mad at me. You can send me as many DMs to my Instagram at @GrandSlam_Sam. I won't read them. I'll delete them.
Too funny. Too funny.
I just won't because I don't care. While Houston is a great team, I think the Mariners are hungrier. And I think Toronto is hungrier than Houston.
Okay. So
that's just my feeling.
So here's the thing is, okay, I get the Houston hate, okay, and there's a lot of people out there that have Houston hate, and for good reason.
It's not even about the past. It's not even as much about the past. So I just want you to understand that.
For good reason. But here's the thing. I don't like it. I don't like it when you have a World Series champion miss the playoffs the next season. It's kind of we saw that with the Florida Marlins, right? They bought a team. Wayne Hainsga bought the team and then said, "Oh, I don't want to be, losing. I don't want to be losing this." So then he went out and bought a bunch of players and then won the World Series. And then he dismantled the team the next season. And then he got tired of losing again, so he rebought another bunch of players and they won the World Series in 2003. And then the Marlins have been relatively unproductive for years since then. Houston's got too good of a club. They got too good of a fan base to be out. So I don't want to see Houston miss the playoffs. I get what you're saying. I just don't want to see Houston miss the playoffs. So, and so, yeah. So
here's my thing to that. So here's what I think to that. They make it this year. Let's just say they make it this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it past the wild card round, and then they make it into the division round, and then they lose in the division round.
Okay.
Because they're a World Series champ, are you going to say you don't want them to miss the season next year? They're not going to miss. You
No,
don't
no,
want
no,
them to miss the
no,
postseason
no, no,
next
no.
year?
They're not. No, they're not World
Or is
Series
it
champ.
just, or are you just saying because they're the World Series champs, you want to see them at least make it the next year, but if they can't make it after that, then Bob's your uncle. Don't kick the door, don't let the door
Yeah,
hit you with a good word.
exactly. So you won the World Series in 2022. I want you in the playoffs for 2022. Okay. If they
Okay.
win the World Series again, I want you in the playoffs again. A lot of Houston fans think that they can. A lot of Houston fans think that they can double down and repeat. I, I think they've got a challenge. I do think, though, however, even though the Rays are playing as hot as they are, I do think all roads to the World Series go through Houston. So you've got to get past Houston to get into the World Series. But we'll see. We'll see how that all plays itself out.
My reasoning is not because of Houston hate. I've given Houston an hate. They get enough hate from everyone else in the league. So I'm all, the hate is there. It doesn't need to be given. They already know it's in front of them. They are the products of their own demise, unfortunately, in certain situations. Houston is starting to become the Yankees of the 90s and early 2000s, where it was like win, 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 championship. And it was, as someone that grew up in the New York area, the Yankee fans, in my opinion, became, if we don't win the whole thing, there's no reason for us to have a season. I don't like it when team because over previous years they've been so good. When teams are humble, I feel when teams are humble and they dominate, I feel they are even more deserving of being in the postseason. When they are just arrogant about it, that's when I like to at least. I'm not saying I don't want to see Houston in the next year, but because of how arrogant, in my opinion, Houston fans have become over the last couple of years, I want to stick it to them once, just to say, remember, you're just a regular team. Don't think that you're high and mighty. Anything can happen.
There's a lot of great Houston fans out there, and I could shout out a bazillion of them, but I will tell you this, Sam, I may have made your dream come true. So I'm going to shout out one guy named Big Dave. So Big Dave is part of this group called the Houston Hat Crew. And this Houston Hat Crew, so Dave in Orlando set up a podcast for me to do, and they chose 5 guys. And we pre-recorded, right? We pre-recorded it and it aired 2 days later. And they were all saying, "Oh, we're going to win the division." At that time, I think Houston was up like 2 games on everybody, right? Oh, we're going to win the division. We're going to win the division. I talked to Dave yesterday morning, and he said, he goes, "Bill, if the Astros miss the playoffs, we're never doing a pre-recorded podcast with you ever again." So I may have given you that opportunity right there. So anyway, moving on to the National League. Much love to you, Big Dave. I just had to throw that in there. Go ahead.
This is gonna be a fun battle to watch. Those are just my opinions, and remember, my opinions are my opinions. We'd love to hear what your opinions are. Make sure you're leaving us these comments. Drop them in the YouTube channel. Drop them on TopFanRivalry. We need to hear what your thoughts are. It's the only way we can get better. Moving on to the National League. Oh my God, there's 6 teams here.
Yep.
And all of them, except Philly, are in contention. These 6 teams could still realistically make the post. Any of these 6 teams could still realistically make the postseason.
Yep.
The first 3 that are up could still be the first 3 out. Phil,
Yep.
I mean, how do we even talk about this National League?
So right now, to me, it's simple. I think Philly's in. They're +5 right now. I think Philly's in. The Diamondbacks have a little bit of a rocky schedule coming up. And so it'll be interesting to see how they play. The Cubs are beating themselves right now. They are beating themselves. They're 3-7 in the last 10 games. I think the Reds and the Marlins have a lot of work to do, as do the Giants. Remember, the Dodgers, you would have thought the Dodgers would have just mailed it in. They clinched. They knew that they weren't going to win the best record. They would have mailed it in, right? But they haven't been doing that, which is unique. And so they've got 2 more games with the Giants and then 3 more games to end the season. So the Giants have 5 games with the National League West champions still to come. So if you're going to ask me to make a prediction, here it is. Philly gets number 1 spot. Number 2 spot goes to the Cubs, and number 3 spot is going to go to the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks and the Cubs are going to switch spots. Your thoughts?
You know, you know, as hard as it is for me to say that my team isn't going to make it, I don't think they are. When I was out in Colorado last week and I saw them play against the Rockies, where they lost, I have not seen a Giants team play with less energy than I have this current team. And it's the barrage of injuries that they faced throughout the year just kind of took them out of it, and they were just like, we just could never bounce back. You know, I don't know, but if I had to go with what my prediction would be, I'd probably say it's right in line with what you said. I think the Reds and the Marlins, while are great teams this year, are just going to be slightly edged out. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to bounce back because they've still got 5 games against the Dodgers and they've got 3 games against the Padres. Now, granted, the last 6 games of the season are in their own park.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of flexibility there. The Giants typically can play, so I think if the Giants can play with some charisma in those last 6 games, I think they've got a shot.
Yeah.
But it's tight. I think they've knocked themselves out of it. But look, it's the last 6 games. It's the last 9 games of the season. Anything can happen. We always say, it ain't over until the final goose is cooked. So we'll see. Bill, you have put together an amazing podcast schedule this coming week.
Yeah,
Can you please take me through it? Can you please take us through it?
Yeah. So we have 4 ladies that are going to talk about the Angels. We had a ladies' night. We have a ladies' night on Monday night, and or Monday morning. We're going to talk about the Angels, and it's going to be 3 sisters and another gal, and they're a little feisty. It's going to be a little fun. We have 2 lady Dodger fans that are going to talk on Tuesday morning for us about the Dodgers. Wednesday, Dan, who I met in the suite at the K at Kauffman Stadium, is going to be talking on Wednesday morning. Thursday, Derek Schaefer, who is currently a pitcher for the University of Tennessee, will be talking. And then on Friday, we've got Dave, Armchair Dave, who's a Blue Jay fan. And I'm going to get his perspective. If he listens to this, he may not want to talk to me on Friday morning, but listen, I'm just calling it like I see it. So go ahead.
And in the leagues this week, I might be making a guest appearance either Tuesday or Wednesday. Let's just keep that under wraps right now. But the rest of the week, you've got some pretty good stuff coming out.
Yeah, Thursday I got Dodger Nanny coming on, and Friday we're going to do an hour-long show with AJ Johnson. He's one of the co-hosts of Bleacher Brothers. I was on his show last week, and we're going to go through the playoff pitcher and what the playoff pitcher looks like, because by Friday we should know a lot more than what we know today, which is weird to say, but yeah, we got this going on. So we're excited about it. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. Locker room articles. Big Dave's article goes up on Monday. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to throw an article in there. Why not? I haven't thrown an article in there in a while. So I'm going to throw an article in there. And then Megan is going to throw an article in on Friday. So it's going to be a packed week on the website. And we've got some design things coming up with the website that are going to be super cool as well.
That is awesome. Bill always likes to keep us up to date on what's going on, giving us a little bit behind the scenes before we get to see it. So it's always great. As always, make sure you are taking a look at TopFanRivalry.com for brand new articles that are coming out this week, as he just went over. The new podcasts that are going to be dropping, because they're going to be awesome. And all the new merch that keeps coming up, because if you haven't seen those jerseys that Bill has produced, they are fire. Make sure you are checking out the merch. Also, be prepared for rivalry watch parties for next year. We are at the close to the end of this year's season, so we have to start prepping for next year. We got to figure out where we're going to be meeting up, what watch parties we're going to be doing, because I am going to try to make it to more this year, and I'm going to try to push Bill to do more on the East Coast so I can make it. Let's do it. Anyway,
somewhat funny that you say that, Sammy. We got a big announcement coming up on the 6th. We actually have an announcement on the 2nd. We're gonna have a big announcement on the 6th coming up, and one on the 16th. And behind the scenes, Sam, we have already identified 8 different watch parties that we're gonna do next season, and several of them are in your hood. So, yeah.
Love it.
It's gonna be
Love
fun.
it. Let's go. All right.
Yeah.
Around the Diamond fans, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we are so thankful that you spent your morning with us for 30 minutes. Please make sure you drop your comments. Please make sure you drop what you want us to talk about. We review it. We look at it. If you don't drop it, we won't talk about it. If you drop it, you might get mentioned.
Yep.
Who knows? As always, week on the field.
Yeah, buddy.